Hi everyone, Anna's here and welcome to the Money Date. I am wondering how your day's going. It's a rainy day here in the Bay Area. I could show you just a little bit. Nothing pretty, can't even see through my windshield. But anyhow, I wanted to chat with you today about, I keep doing these money dates, right? And having a conversation with you about certain different topics, but the whole idea why you need to have a money date really has roots to when I personally, right, had struggles having a good system in place, figuring out, what our finances are going to be like, and having my husband to be on the same page. Now, the question about how we got started with money dates actually evolved over time. But what I'm asking you to do on the weekly basis is precursor to having those money dates. So being able to check how your income is doing, are you making more money, being able to know how much money you're earning, right? So looking back at the last week, now we're at the beginning of the month. I love doing money dates when they fall like at the first couple of days of the month, because for me personally, that's where I sit down and I do kind of a global overview of what's going on and how our finances are doing. So this is equally as important, the weekly check-ins, right, and your once a month kind of keeping track of your system. So just doing those simple things is the first step in being able to have the conversations. Now, when Yuri and I started, we didn't have any of the structure in place, right? Yuri was managing finances at the beginning. Then I got a hold of it and came up. Hi, Mario. Good to have you here. Hey, great training today. And so, it took us a bit of time and frustration to figure out how and when can we talk about our finances. Now, I'm working on an exciting project that you all going to hear about. It's called it's a training course that I put together based on all of this, all of these experiences personally and what I've seen with my clients over the years, where money date actually was a byproduct of what you should be doing to stay on the top of your finances. So how Yuri and I got going with this, it really started around the fact that, look, we need to have consistent conversations, right, about how things are flowing, especially when you get when you end up merging finances, right, with your loved ones. Sometimes it can get ugly, and a lot of you know that sometimes relationships, or more times than I would love to think about, end up money frustrations or tensions are caused, or the relationship and tensions in relationship are caused by frustrations around money. So having an open conversation, right, an open dialogue, whether you have your own piece of the puzzle that you're managing, and that's how we started, right? I was doing more day-to-day, paying the bills, making sure that we had enough money in our checking accounts. Yuri was more focusing on taxes and sort of larger items, because that's what he liked to do. It kind of still works the same way. Yes, Mario, for sure. It is number one reason for why people divorce. So the whole idea is to talk, is to have conversations. Now, for us, it's not any different, right? It was about, all right, how are we doing? And that's why I proposed to you. The whole reason I've been telling you for the last 2 years is that know where your money is at, so that you can have an educated conversation. And sometimes, all right, frankly, it's not that crazy. Sometimes I am not up to speed of what's going on, right? Because it's either I'm busy, now that we have a 3 months older in our hands, life is hectic. So, but putting systems in place, right, and being able to check and know what's going on is having those consistent conversations. And it really shouldn't be anything formal, unless you like to, to make it formal. We've taken it to an extremes where we've gone on dates, to have a glass of wine and really just discuss what's going on and how things are. Now, with us, it's different. Coming in, it's unlikely that you'll see couples that have income that's both variable. And I talk about this as well in my training, because when you have two people that are bringing money into the pot, right? And we have one pot. That's also kind of a distinction where having constant conversations or money. So everything is going into one pot. But when that income stream varies, that's where it presents a lot more difficulty. So this is another emphasis why I think you should have constant conversations. Now, have a proper agenda. Again, nothing formal, but know exactly what you're going to be discussing. So my part of the job for this relationship, right, and what I'm responsible for, not only knowing what each of you, right, or maybe one person does most of the job, the second just needs to be updated. I have a ton of clients who are like that, okay? One of the partners or spouses is more involved. They're more interested in these kinds of things. They want to stay up, at night and trying to figure these things out. They're the ones that are usually more engaged with me as their financial planner. But it doesn't mean that the other party doesn't need to know. That's the power of being updated. So with our relationship, and I'm just giving you ideas to see what might work, because it all depends, right? And sometimes in cases where you have your own finances and you haven't merged them quite yet or aren't going to be doing that, there's still, perhaps a household activities or responsibilities financially that you have to come together and talk about. Now, know what your own responsibilities are going to be for these particular tasks. So if I'm responsible for making sure that all the bills got paid, we're still on the variable income for have been for the last 8 years, making sure we have enough money to live on, and kind of tracking all of our progress in terms of our savings, how our investment accounts are doing. That's my job. That's what I do. I am responsible for keeping track of that. This is what I deliver and discuss with Yuri once a month, and I talk about this as well. These mini money dates that you have on a weekly basis is more about catching up. Sometimes it's really just a quick chat to see what's going on, how things are. Sometimes, for example, right now we're all getting ready to file our taxes. Some of you may have already filed your taxes. So what were you doing to get ready? So think about that, because you've all done this before. It's just, I like to call these money dates because it just kind of removes, that pressure from some people don't like to talk about money. Maybe perhaps there's issues that already exist, the debts you need to be paying off. This is particularly important because if you do have things you need to work on constantly, right, or as much as you can, and I know you're all busy, paying attention and staying on the top of your plan is what's going to get you, right, further and further ahead in your journey. And it could be fun. Make it fun, right? That's why it's a date. Just talk about your finances. You can talk about all this other stuff at some other time. So giving responsibilities to each other is important, because then you're not running like a chicken with your head cut off, not knowing what's going on. And then, having a clear understanding, right, and agreeing what you're going to discuss. I suggest once a week, smaller conversations, shorter conversations, and then sit down once a month to kind of do a global review. For those of you who have more of a steady paycheck, steady income, where it comes in every 2 weeks or or weekly or bi-weekly, right, every other week, you can still structure to have these conversations, because maybe perhaps your bills are getting paid, on those kind of frequencies, or, your overall system is flowing. If it's not, let's talk about it, because there is freedom to this. It doesn't have to be as crazy as some of you make it. And this is the basic foundational pieces that you need to have, because if you don't have, it's like you're going to have holes in your bucket. So imagine like your overall personal financial system in place, and you have these small holes at the bottom of the bucket, and it's leaking. It may not be crazy leaking, but it is leaking. And so you got to be smart about that. So over time, right, we've we've come to have an understanding, right, that each of us are responsible for a certain piece of this financial puzzle, and having a clear-cut communication really works well for us. I suggest you try this out with your significant others, whether it's a joint system, whether you get paid on commission, or you have a business, or you have a paycheck that comes in every month. You can adapt the strategies and suggestions that I'm giving you to today to implement something that at the end of the day, when you look at all of this, it's one less worry on your mind, because there are other things in life, and we all know that you can be focusing on. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. I'm excited soon to release my training course. I've been working on it for a while, so stay tuned. But I always believed and been teaching all of my clients that your finances, your money, need to have a flow. So figure out what those pieces are so that you can create the flow, because otherwise it's not gonna work. You guys have the rest of the afternoon. Stay dry if you're in the Bay Area. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.